Hi everyone and welcome to Warhammer. We're your hosts, Jack
and Dan.
Today we're going to be taking down a little trip down memory lane today, Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of models to kind of go over, a lot of metal ones.
Metal models, a lot of oldhammer.
Yeah.
And stay tuned because there is a nice little story behind why we decided to go down this road today. So watch out for that as we get into the video. But let's kick us off with a little discussion about some of the classics. I mean, this is also going to be the video which finally reveals my true age.
Yeah. You're giving them off by name. Be like, well, I know that guy.
I was looking at this thinking, when you were talking about this, I was like, oh, this is going to be like my childhood right there. And I look at these models and I'm like, actually, this is like my late teens, early 20s, some of this stuff. So, yeah.
That's better. Right? Yeah. That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
Who knows? But who doesn't like classic models, though? Like, I feel like I see them, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm looking at until I get home and like actually look them up. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of these models here, which we'll get onto later, where I was literally like, I think this is Warhammer. I think this is 40. Is it 40k?
Yeah.
Is it demons? Is it oldhammer? You know, because there's loads of different variants.
There is. I mean, the square bases are usually a giveaway that it was old, what they now call the old world, which us old grumpy old men called Warhammer Fantasy. But the round bases were always 40k.
Yeah.
But there's some real character to these old models which you don't get in this is pre Games Workshop becoming very corporate and sanitized.
Yes,
there's still some cheekiness.
There definitely is. I think some of the poses as well are just very iconic, which is a shame because I feel like some of 40k, especially nowadays, are missing a lot of that iconicness.
Yes,
it is very much more like fit the bill for everybody, opposed to this is kind of like on the edge kind of thing, and we'll get onto some of those later.
I was going to say I'll come onto it, but I can't actually replicate some of the hand gestures that these models are making because we'd get demonetized.
we would
in a heartbeat.
So I'll let the models show that later. But so I mean, these models as well, I mean, the price for them, they just keep on going up at the minute.
They do, and I think, in most hobbies, older stuff by nature becomes harder to find. But also, I think there is an age bracket of collectors of a certain age now who can afford to go back and buy back their childhood, if you like. Yeah. Like if you were stupid like me and you got rid of a lot of this stuff when you were younger for one reason or another, you can go back and get it. You can go and revisit your childhood, which is nice.
It is nice. I guess should we maybe just dive straight on to? Oh, I was just actually going to say as well, like metal model collection you just mentioned there about like recollecting your childhood. We've mentioned in the past before about like, in this hobby there's like painting, building, playing. Is this another niche within a niche?
100%. Like, it's definitely a niche within a niche. I mean, there are, for example, they're not exclusively metal, but there is a whole community out there in the UK. Certainly, I'm assuming it's worldwide, but they just play second edition 40k. Yeah. So they're buying and building largely old metal models, painting the bases goblin green, or it's
classic style,
classic style, exactly.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a niche within a niche, and I think also even like for younger players and collectors, it's just nice to own a bit of that heritage of Games Workshop, isn't it? I've there's a soft spot, there's a heart, there's a spot I can't speak there now. There's a spot in my heart. I know I'm so emotional. I briefly mentioned you the other day where I'm like, right, I'm going to get my metal models out and then start like putting them in a nice little frame over there somewhere, just to be like, that's like a nice little conversation starter. When we have guests on the podcast or anything like that, it'd be nice to show like, oh look, these are the models we've got, 1980s, 1990s and such. So I think it'd be very nice to show them all. It is. I think an element of we're all collectors in this hobby of one description or another, and there is an element of we like to show people our collections, like behold my stuff,
my things.
So
I love it,
and we should be, why shouldn't we take pride in these things?
Oh, absolutely.
So absolutely. I think, but it absolutely is. It can be a niche within a niche, definitely. And I think it can be, as you said, quite compelling because of there is a real difference in the character of these sculpts compared to sometimes for good or bad. Sometimes look really dorky. But it's still different. It's very different.
Yes, stand out for sure. Yeah. Great. Well, look, shall we just dive into the models that we've got on the table?
Yeah, go for it, man.
We'll start off with the which again. please, anyone, correct me if I'm wrong in any of the comments below, but I've done a little bit of research into these models to try and find out as much information as I can.
Yeah, you've been an internet detective on these.
I have, and it wasn't a lot, basically. And if I'm wrong, please let me know. But we'll start off with those guys just there. I'll do a little close-up for everyone at home. But those are the Pink Horror Command Group, Wild One. So these apparently came out in 2009. They are now out of production, and those guys cost roughly about £50 to £60 as a squad of 3.
They're commanding a good fee on eBay at the moment.
They are.
I think they are. If memory serves me, they were relatively rare. Mm-hmm. You're more likely to own the generic horrors.
Yeah,
they will be a little bit more expensive than those, and they've also got a bit more additional character. Like one of them's got, I think, if I remember correctly, if I might be picking up.
Go ahead, mate. Yeah,
I think he's got the beaky Zinch. Yes, beaky Zinch face rather than like a standard horror face.
Yeah,
which I quite like as well.
It's just
different. And there's just some random stuff like he's just got a tentacle, spiky.
Yeah, he's meant to have 2, and unfortunately this one is forgotten one, and the other smaller guy is missing both his arms.
Yeah, missing both his arms. Yes,
but it happens. It happens.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's one of the drawbacks of the metal minis that came in segments is if you've had them for a few years, you will have lost some bits. 100%.
Easily done.
It's difficult. I mean, it's difficult to see what that is. With are they tentacles? Are they antlers?
It's almost like a thorny kind of thing coming off from a tree kind of thing. So
it looks almost like a classic GW where they've done the sculpt and then the head of the studios looked at it and gone, nah, need something
more
else.
Randomness. Yeah. Like a little wheel of spin it and they're like, trees, more trees.
Yeah, just roll a D20 or something. Yeah. But I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's very nice.
And they are, unfortunately, you can't really use those in, I'm assuming you can use them in the old world, but you can't use them in 40k or Sigmar.
No, when I had a little look, there was no data sheet for them.
No.
So they are gone out of there.
Yeah.
But very nice models. And following along from that, we've already briefly mentioned them, is the Pink Horrors.
Yes.
So those models again, like it's the hands, the gestures, everything about them is just screaming unique with me.
Really, really iconic. And Games Workshop gave them an awful lot of character. This is still in you can totally, like, that is a great example of models that I just don't think they would make today.
Nah.
It's just not the aesthetic that they're going for.
No.
It's a bit bonkers.
It is, it's too out there. Like I think for them, it's a shame as well because I mean the models themselves, the hands. I find the hands creepy.
Yeah,
they're so big and just so like what even are they? Because they've got those little ring things on each of them.
They've almost got like suckers on the end of them or something.
I don't want to see those anywhere near me.
I mean, I think if memory serves me, they fire like raw energy out of their fingers, don't they?
They do. They certainly do there, yeah. So I guess that's where it's coming from. But why that design? They've made them intentionally creepy, which I guess I like because they are chaos demons. But they hurl unnatural fire towards the enemy. And then when those guys as well, each of those models is about £20 to £25.
What, for one?
For one.
Wow.
For one of them, which is, again, crazy money.
It's quite, how many have you got there? 10?
I have 5 of the Pink Horrors, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You got 100, over 100 quid worth of Pink Horrors there.
Yep, and then the blue one. So when, again, everyone doesn't know what Pink Horrors are, when you destroy a Pink Horror in 40k on a roll of a +4, they split into 2 blue horrors.
Yes.
So when one of those die, you potentially go into one of those blue horrors. Now those blue horrors, I've got how many did I say? I've got about 10 of those blue horrors. Those blue horrors are £15 to £20 per model.
Wow, so that's another couple hundred quid there.
It is, but again, this is where I think the price is being. It's not justified at all because it's far too much money. But if you look at those poses, they're the ones where we can't make those hand gestures. But I'll put it on screen so you can see. They're the ones that are making those really unique hand gestures that you would not see in any sort of GW stuff.
There is no way corporate GW would sanction that kind of thing.
Nah. They probably sack the guy whoever designed it.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm sure somebody will. You always do. Please. But if I remember correctly, these kind of came about when the focus on chaos came about in the late 80s, when you got those Realm of Chaos books. You know, the ones that we were looking at more. Well, these ones.
Yes, that's
Slaves
the
of Darkness and the Lost and the Damned.
Yeah.
And I think they were part of that that kind of release.
Okay.
So late 80s, GW was still pretty punk rock. Like, they were...
a bit edgy.
Yeah.
Bit out there.
And a lot of it was in-jokes for nerds, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't mainstream in any way, shape or form like it is now or a wider niche. It was still it was still a very limited number of people that were playing this game, and therefore it was like they were like in jokes really. But I do miss that.
The vibe kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's just like the people just kind of having a bit of fun, realizing, oh, look, this is a game, but it's meant to be fun. So that element of that coming out and those models.
I mean, occasionally we still see little glimpses of it, like the Adeptus Titanicus guy on the stilts.
The tall boy.
Yeah, the tall boy. You get some, occasionally you get some the bit of the daftness creeps back in, but a lot of it's gone.
It's funny.
But certainly the rudeness has definitely gone.
Yeah, rudeness has definitely gone there. Yeah, but then when they go away, and then you got the brimstones that come out, which are those little flamey ones. I don't have any of those flamey ones, unfortunately.
No,
I think that'll probably be my next ones to purchase. But those ones look cool as well. Just little energy flames that apparently are alive.
Right. Yes, I remember that well. Yes.
So,
but they were an absolute pain to shift.
And I think I think we briefly mentioned it because we had a friend looking to buy these, not these ones, but obviously the ones that are the most in Chaos Demons there now.
Yes,
we've seen that. I didn't even think about it but if you went to buy pink horrors, then you had to buy 2 boxes of blue horrors.
Yeah,
because obviously if you got pink horrors, if they split, you could have double the amount of ones you get with blue horrors, and then that's the same then for brimstones.
So remember when you and me played that doubles tournament at the Westland Wildlands at our club, we played against Lee. Our friend Lee has, and he had them all like racked up off the battlefield just in case, didn't he? And then we shot his. I think you shot his. Oh no, I shot his pink horrors, and he didn't roll a single 4 up. They didn't bring any blues.
Any of them came back.
Yeah,
and he
was, that unit's dead. Now.
Yeah, and his entire plan was just to explode.
Yeah,
it would have been very good to see, but it did not happen.
It probably was like just one of those weird quirks where the dice won us the game or played a big part in winning the game.
Oh, because if he took that would have been his middle objective for the next 2-3 turns. Yeah, easily.
But yeah, I think you can obviously, these are obviously an integral part still of Chaos Demons today, the Tzeentch Demons, but the models are very different now.
Very much different there now.
I wonder how much they are if they're 10 for 40 quid or something.
They're about that. Yeah, I think when I looked online, they were in the shop the other day. I think they were about 35, 40 quid for a box of 10. So the price difference now.
Yeah, a bit of a price difference.
Crazy. So should we go on maybe a little story time now then?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is a lovely little story. So
the reason why I've been mentioning prices, not to flex, because everyone wants to flex here, but the reason for mentioning these prices for is because I have a friend who has just moved in a new house and he has a box. He had a big box of random Warhammer, and he was just going to throw it out. Completely going to throw it out. And I was like, oh, well, look, I was like, I love Warhammer. I love seeing what's like. Yeah, exactly. I was like, do you want me to, like, I was like, I'll happily buy the box off you. I'll give you like if you're going to throw it out, I'll give you like a tenner. And he goes, oh, no, just take the box. I was like, all right, perfect. So went around here, grabbed the box, and I just seen one blue horror lying on top. And I was like, at the time, I didn't know what it was. And I was like, oh, I was like, what on earth is this? Like, this cool little unique model. It's metal, so it's clearly something in my thing. So I literally said to him, I was like, well, look at me. I'll get home. I'll see what's in the box, and I'll report back to you. I get home, and I start pulling out the box. And I'm like, ooh, this random model. And I got those ones. And I was like, at the time, I still didn't know exactly what they were.
Yeah.
But when I started looking more and more into it, I was like, wait, hold on. I was like, I think I found them. Pink horror. Have a little look. I was like, oh, there's some of the old. I've seen some of the old classic pictures. I was like, oh, there's some of the models. And I start looking on eBay, 25 quid. I'm like, what on earth? And that's per one. So I collect them all.
What's that from like American audiences? Probably about 40.
Probably 35 probably like that. Yeah,
somewhere around $35.
Yeah. So $35. £25 UK for one of those, not the squad, one of them. And I started adding them all up, and literally the box must have been about the size of this, basically, the size of that. And I went back to him and I was like, look, mate, I appreciate you giving me the box. And I thought it was really nice of you. I was like, but I can't justify sitting here and not telling you that you've got about £350 worth of Warhammer. And that's 3 squads, but he also had loads of metal knights from a different, I think, I had a little look. I haven't put them on this show because I couldn't figure out exactly what they were, but I think they were either Chaos Dwarfs or Chaos Riders. I just couldn't figure out which ones they were.
Yeah.
But again, those were all metal, and I was like, man, I can't justify it. I was like, you've got all this Warhammer. I was like, I'll record the video and I'll give you them back. And he was like, oh, just give us like X amount of money for them. And I was like, sure. I was like, that's an absolute bargain.
Nice.
But
it was very honest of you.
I just like for the amount of money that was there, and this is why I wanted to kind of talk about this topic, because I was like, how many other people are sitting at home maybe with an old bag of Warhammer and probably just decide, it's just plastic crap. let me throw it out. In that little box was 350 quid worth of old Warhammer.
Yeah, just in one little box.
Yeah.
It's almost all of us have got a little box like that.
Yeah.
Very often people start in a hobby quite young, collect a little bits of this and that, and then it all gets chucked in a box and put under a bed or in a cupboard and forgotten about.
Just forgotten about. So I was very happy that I managed to convince him for us to let's have a little
Not
look
to throw it out.
Yeah, because he was literally in the bin pile. It was literally going out on Tuesday. And I was like, no. So very good save.
I think so. I think the thing with it is it's cherished so much by Warhammer, current Warhammer players. Like whatever it is, if you were thinking about chucking it out, there'll be somebody out there that it would make their day to own it.
Exactly.
Which is what it's all about, really.
Oh, definitely.
And I mean, that said, metal. It has reminded me of some of the. And it's shown you in setting some of these up of some of the challenges around metal minis.
Them damn little slits in the middle kind of thing. I mean, I don't want to touch him because he's going to fall. I don't even want to touch the table. But this little guy, Azrael, he's a strong gust away from dying.
Yeah. You walk past him and the gust of air will be enough to tip him over.
Yeah.
And this, we were talking about this off camera, but I was wondering if it felt like GW never did like balance checks on these minis when they made them. And you can see the physics of these ones with a metal banner. They're going to be top heavy.
Yeah. God forbid dropping them.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. They'll just explode.
Yeah.
Especially that banner. Or like the metal will bend and it's like, right, well, once it's bent, it's a bit knackered.
Yeah. I got lucky, well, partly lucky. I have a metal Drazar, who I proxy as an Archon in my Drukhari list, and I dropped him at Warhammer World of the Week. And he's like, he has these sort of prongs that come out of his back.
Yeah.
And I heard it pop and I was like, oh no. But the prongs have just the super glue has just gone. Like,
oh right, okay,
so
good.
They'll just slot straight back in. But I was like, I didn't want to look under the
just
table.
Look, you just like, yeah. You're just like, oh, what's that? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's the other challenge. Really, is getting them to stay together. And particularly if the bits were heavy, there was a lot of those models that were beautiful sculpts.
Yeah,
I remember having from Games Workshop's Lord of the Rings range in the mid '80s. I had a zombie dragon. And it was, I mean, you could have brained somebody. It was all metal, but its wings stuck out the sides like this. But there was nothing that you could stick them in with.
That reminds me of the Hive. The Hive got
Hive.
What's it? The
Hive Tyrant.
Hive Tyrant. That's the one.
Yeah.
They're metal wings and just.
There's no way they're staying on, and if
Crazy.
they did, then it just fell over.
Yeah,
because it was unbalanced. And you had to, as kids, we never did this because we didn't know what to do. But as adult collectors will tell you, you had to drill and pin them.
Yeah,
it was the only way you could get the bits to stay. Mm-hmm. And what happens if you don't do that is over the course of the years, even if you keep these things in the box, bits go missing. Like this guy's arms.
Oh, so easily.
Yeah, you will lose bits.
It's horrible.
That's another reason why on some of those multi-part models the price is driven up.
Yeah,
because there might be 1,000 in existence, but only 200 might still have all the bits.
Yeah, exactly. Man. And then you see on eBay some people just selling an arm of this, an arm of that.
Yeah.
So if I am looking for that sort of stuff, I probably will just search for the arm, and someone probably is selling it.
You get them on some bit sites and whatnot, or on eBay. Definitely there will be some, and they hold their value for that reason.
Yeah.
I think originally GW's there were Citadel miniatures, and their strategy was to make them a single cast. So you did the sculpt, cast it, you poured in, and it was just one bit.
Yeah.
And then as they became more complex, then it's evolved and it's became more of a challenge. But they still look amazing.
Still close to my heart. I mean, for all the grief I give it, I almost want them to bring back metal models.
Do you?
Yeah, just maybe it's a collection thing. Like, is it kind of be like, oh look, here's like the plastic version to play on the tabletop, and then here's like the metal version of that character. I don't know what it is. I just feel like
I think there definitely is you are not alone. If you look at some of the sculptors who worked for, or people who work for GW, so the guys that run Warlord Games are ex-GW, and that when they started all of what's it called, Bolt Action, their World War II game. When they started, all of their first minis were metal, and that's only a few years ago. The Perry twins, who were sculpted a lot of classic 80s GW stuff, they still make historical minis in metal.
Oh, see, it's so good.
So there's its own. It surprises me. I think you might have hit on something there because I mean, obviously 3D print. You can 3D print. There are alternative sculpts. There's a lot of third party models that you can use in 40k.
Yeah.
But nobody makes metal ones as far as I'm aware. If you know of anybody, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, that'll be quite exciting.
There's definitely some ones out there where I'm just like, it'd be cool to have this in metal. Like, just I don't know. Just I feel like when it's weighty, you immediately go, oh, this is a good model. I don't know what it is. That's just my brain is like, oh, if it's metal, it's good.
Just, it's got that heft.
Yeah,
it's like
bite into it. Oh, that's a good. My tooth. That's a good one. That's a good one. But some classics there.
Good.
Moving on to maybe some other models then. So we've got the Sisters of Battle here. Now these ones aren't mine. These are a friend of ours, Max.
Yes,
these are his models. I'm very jealous of them. But we've got Saint Celestine there. We've got the Canoness just here, and we've got 16 Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
Great models. All these ones came out in 1997, but they were also re-released in 2003.
Yeah, there was. I think that was when Sisters got their proper list. Was 2003. I think proper codex. Again, tell us if I'm wrong in the comments, but I don't think they got one in 97.
So they came. I think maybe the codex wasn't there, but they had some models.
They had some models in 97. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, they had models in third, but I don't think they got a proper codex until fourth. I want to say
probably the case. What was I saying there? So yeah, it came out in 2003. These ones, I think these ones here must have been ones from 2003, 2004, because the other ones had a slight difference, and Saint Celestine didn't come out in 1997. But yeah, again, absolutely amazing models. Absolutely love them.
They'll also be worth a few quid, I would expect, even though they are slightly younger than perhaps some of these sculpts. But they are.
I then I looked at the price. When I looked at these ones, I was like, I've looked at the price for those ones. These ones aren't mine. I'm not gonna try and persuade Max to try and buy them off him. So these ones are firmly back to Max.
Well, this was a similar story in that Max has been he's just been getting back into the hobby the last couple of years, and this was his childhood in a box. There was all sorts in his box. Again, like most kids, you collect a bit of this and a bit of that.
Yeah,
you don't. None of us tended to have 2,000 points of one thing.
Imagine buying 2,000 points. Of this nowadays.
I mean, pricing is relative. But I mean, it was expensive, but it wasn't. I mean, I remember blister packs when I started being about £1.50, and then everyone was grumbling when it went up to £2.
No,
I don't know. So, but I mean, it's relative because I don't know what £2 in '88 would be now.
True.
But they. The plastic is not cheap today. If you think about it, it's like 10 sisters for 40 quid or whatever. It's still not cheap.
Yeah, I think those ones came in boxes of 4 or 5 as well. I think there's something like that.
They will have been in blister packs, and it will have been 4, I would guess. Yeah. That's probably why there's 16. Most of them had 4. Most of the blister packs had 4 models in, partly because that's all the room you could fit in a blister pack usually.
But, and the blister packs aren't very secure.
No, they just there was a bit of sponge, like you can see in there, a bit of sponge in the back to try and give them some vague protection. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Rest of it was just to the element.
I remember when the Eldar Aspect Warriors came out, the first metal ones, Jez Goodwin sculpts, and they're beautiful models, but there were 3 in a blister pack, and I think by then it was a £5, and we were like, oh, that's a bit expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are. They'll definitely be worth a couple of quid. And it's interesting to look at the Sisters minis because, a bit like the Blue Horrors, the basic aesthetic is still the same as it is today. You can see most of what you see on a Sisters model today is on these metal models, isn't it?
It's very true, yeah, and they look very nice as well. These ones, like I look at this one, I feel like I could paint this one.
Yeah,
it's a lot of detail there, a lot of good stuff, and I'm worried. I'm scared. I had to fix it. Don't bring it out. I had to fix a bunch of these. Actually, when I was getting out of the box from Max there, just all of the backpacks had came off.
Yeah.
I think about 10 of them out of 16 came off, so I had to glue all them ones back on. But looking at the model, that was the only bit for this one that you had to glue. There's nothing else.
I was actually surprised when you showed me them that they had metal backpacks. I'd forgotten that because GW, even in the late 80s and early 90s, had started switching to plastic.
Yeah. So
you've got your core model, and then it would have a plastic backpack, and maybe sometimes the arm that you had to glue on was plastic as well.
Yeah.
And then they've obviously at some point gone back to metal, which is interesting.
Which is weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's you look at that one. Obviously, that's like a 4-parter backpack sword thingy. Same thing there. But I mean, all them ones are just like a solid piece, isn't it?
Yeah. These are older. These are definitely from the solid sculpt era. Yeah, I think they're. I mean, the other thing to note is while the horrors I don't think have particularly changed size that much, Celestine is a much, she's
Bigger
a centerpiece model now.
Yeah.
I think partly because of the constraints of metal that they didn't do that to a greater
the molds and such that they had back at the time.
Most things were human sized still.
Yeah.
Even if you were the absolute, the leader of your army or the absolute centerpiece of your army.
Mm-hmm.
So that I find quite interesting. But other than that, you could, barring the fact that there's been a little bit of scale creep, you could run those metal sisters today, and they wouldn't really look out of place.
Just to increase the base size to
the
the ones that are relevant, and then imagine that one, since Celestine on the biggest base that she's on, and then there's just a little model in the middle.
Yeah. you need a lot of corkboard to stack that base up, wouldn't you?
But it's a lovely model as well. Like, to be fair, I'm going to pick it up because I love seeing it. But I had to glue this one as well a few times. In the backpack came off a couple of times, and it's just
this for me.
Just the detail on this model is amazing.
Well, that's the thing. I think that era for me is the best because the sculptors had elevated their abilities to such a level that they could put quite a lot of detail.
Yeah,
they could do faces and helmets and all that stuff really
easily,
well. Yeah. But also, it's not too much detail. I do feel sometimes in 40k today we get like detail overload, and I quite like the balance that these have got.
These ones do have a very nice balance. Because everything about it is just. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's not overdone. It's there for a reason.
There's enough detail. And I mean, if you're just a collector and painter, you want all the detail probably because you like you want those intricacies. But for more of a tabletop collector, I want a little bit of detail, but just the right amount.
Yeah.
It's like you probably don't remember. It's like a Sopranos episode where Tony Soprano's is complaining to his wife that she's bought orange with bits in, and she's like, "You like orange with bits in?" He's like, "I like orange with some bits in it." That's where I am on detail in 40k models. I like 40k models with some detail.
You sitting at home and with the models like too much detail. What's this?
Yes.
Good.
But I think the sisters, metal sisters, are quite topical because we met a very passionate sisters collector.
We did
last weekend, didn't we?
We did, certainly did. Back at I forgot the place again.
Warhammer
World.
Yes.
Yes, we were just there. Met them this month. So yes, it was Em and Lucy.
Yes, Em and Lucy. They're on Instagram as Sisters of Eldar, which is all one word. Go and check them out. And as the name suggests, one of them, Em collects Eldar and Lucy collects Sisters. But we were talking about collecting stuff, and I was saying like, you sound like a completist like me. Like if when you start collecting army, you want one of everything.
Yeah. And
she pulled out a phone which had an infographic checklist with a picture of all the models ever released for sisters with the checks through of which one she got.
That's so good. That's such a good like.
I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's such a good method of doing it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like I need that for Necrons. Like there's just so.
I was amazed you didn't have one. I was like, that's the most Jack thing I've ever seen.
It's tempting us now to get that done.
Yeah.
There's. I mean, to be fair, props to it. There's so much to collect.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was looking at just these metal ones, I don't know if she was collecting the metal ones, but when I was looking at them, there's a big range of
there is.
ones.
She's just getting onto them. She was saying she was starting to get onto a website called Troll Trader, which specialises in a lot of secondhand metal.
Nice.
Oldhammer. And she has a checklist of the metal, and she's just starting to chew her way through that.
Very nice. Very nice.
So we'll have to hide these when she comes.
Yeah. Behind a locked secure panel.
Yes. And that's not all you've got here though. I spy some of the some
Dark
Space
Angels.
Marines on there. Dark Angels.
Dark Angels, these ones. So we've got Azrael with the Watcher in the Dark as well, which I didn't realise came in metal. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But he's again a little cool little model holding the little helmet. Again, just such good detail on it as well. These ones are great. These ones I think were created by Mark Gibbons back in the early 90s.
That's right, good sculptor.
These were never came out in fine cast. These were never cast in fine cast. Went from metal to plastic.
That's right. Yes. Yeah,
which is odd because obviously Azrael is in 40k nowadays.
He got a new model recently, didn't he? I want to say this year or last year, actually. Yeah, it's very recent.
So it came out in 1990 and then re-released in 2000s.
So if the new plastic model came out last year, that means it was 33 years between the sculpt getting refreshed.
Still working. I've just touched him now. He's gonna fall. No, what have I done this to myself? You can see how annoying the little slits are.
Well, hey! And imagine trying to play like Floorhammer with your mates. You would spend ages getting your armies out, and then every time you moved them, something would fall over. Spent a lot of time
And these ones,
just picking them back up.
These ones you couldn't put a penny underneath because obviously the way the base is. Nah. Well, he's face down there now, unfortunately.
You could, blue tack was your friend, but even then, sometimes the blue tack would just like, I can't hold it any longer. They just go. Yeah.
And it's funny, you'd see them from a distance, just like,
yeah,
slowly go backwards, and you're like, no,
like
no.
an old tree falling in the woods. Yeah. But 1990s Gibbons sculpts, classic sculpts. But I mean, again, you might not be able to see from the sensor scale here. We'll try and do it with the close-ups, but there is the scale creep is massive in Space Marines. Like these guys look so tiny compared to
the new
modern
range.
Modern Primaris,
easily done. And then the other one is the Dark Angels company master, I think it is. Or something.
Is it? Yeah.
The one I found online. Again, he's a metal guy. He looks so cool with the cape kind of going over himself. He just looks like he's there for business.
He does. He's got it's an iconic sculpt, that one really is.
Now I think this is one of the older ones because there's a one that was there was a starter set released for the Dark Angels back in March 2007.
Yes.
Of a very similar looking guy to this guy, but the guy in that box didn't have this helmet. He had just a normal face, and obviously. I think there was like a guy, someone else like holding his helmet, or his helmet was on the base, but this guy has the helmet.
That makes sense now because I think I'm remembering this correctly. Again, tell us in the comments if I've got it wrong. But I remember the top of the banner having the Aquila on it, the Space Marines Aquila, where I think it's a skull on that one.
It was a skull.
So I think, I think there are either two versions of the same model or they tweaked it. Yeah,
for the re-release. Yeah, because it's an amazing looking model. So the tweak it. I mean, the other model is basically the exact same. It's got the cloak.
It's got the same pose with the sword and everything. Yeah,
it's literally just the helmet that's different.
Yeah, interesting.
So we had to get rid of the helmet because I thought the helmet looks amazing. But
good,
very nice ones.
It's really interesting to have a peep at some of these old models and see some of the really contrast the similarities and differences.
Yeah.
But again, if you look at modern Dark Angels, apart from the fact that they're bigger and a bit more ornate, like you do get a lot of detail on some of those new Dark Angel sculpts, but the aesthetic is there. It's this. You can see that sense of traditions. The continuity from between the old metal and the new.
Oh yeah. So good.
And it wouldn't be us, last but not least, if we didn't look at another faction.
A couple of Necrons. Yeah. We've got to mention some Necrons. I'm a massive Necron collector.
Yes.
Got loads of them. But I just thought I'd put a few out for the show because I've got the blisters, because obviously people mention nowadays blister packs. Some people out there probably don't even know what blister packs are.
Yeah, very true.
But that's what these are. This is how Warhammer used to come in.
Yeah.
Which is a very weird. You've obviously just got me this for my birthday. So yes. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
But yeah, so it's a nice little blister pack. This one's got the Tomb Spider in, which is just that fella there. I guess there's another little funny story about that one actually. I don't know if I've told. Oh no, I think I have told that one before. Where I got
Tell it anyway.
I got basically we've got a place called Oldhammer.
Yes,
it's like a car boot.
Twice a year, it's a car boot sale for Warhammer. It's great.
It was a big bag of Warhammer for Necrons in. And I was like, that looks cool. How much is that? And there was like a label on it for like £7 or £8. And I was like, that looks good. And I looked at it and I initially seen like 10 warriors. I was like, well, I know 10 warriors are more than £8.
Yeah.
So I'm buying it for the warriors. So got there, got home, yada, yada, yada. And then as I'm sifting through it, I found a full Tomb Spider. And I was like, this is great. I was like, whack that together. That's amazing. And then I found the Necron Metal Praetorians.
Oh, yes, the Praetorians. Yeah, they're lovely.
Get them on. That's lovely. And then I found 20 warriors instead of 10. And then all these little bits of little green rods that aren't obviously no longer made either. So scored an absolute bargain there.
You did. It's I feel like Oldhammer has changed. Oldhammer's changed over the past few years. It's like everything else, I suppose.
Not my Warhammer.
Well, it's you can still get some absolute bargains there, but the sellers have got a bit more savvy. I think the chances of you coming across like a box or a bag full of stuff that's just most people will look online, split it up, sell it for more. Which, as long as everybody makes something, it's fine. But that was one of the last like big bargains from Oldhammer I think anybody ever got.
Yeah. Hopefully more come back, but I think people are too knowledgeable nowadays to
a little bit. Away. I mean, I've done all right. I bought some of the old. They're plastic, but they're very old Dark Eldar warriors, which came out in I think that was 5th edition.
Yeah.
And they were like, I think 10 or 12 quid for 10, which is, you can probably sell them for twice that online, but it's not nowhere near as what the bargain that you got.
No, I got an absolute steal. I did.
But also the same as you, I ain't selling them online.
Yeah, I love these too much.
Yeah.
Good. But yeah, no, again, you got the Wraith in there as well. Really cool little model. Ooh, he's picking up with the ball.
Oh, yeah.
But again, he could just buy himself as well. These came out in 2002 with a 3rd edition codex. So it's classic models. I love them.
That was a good time for Necrons. They really got the lore and the range expanded. And this is an interesting one because the aesthetic for Necrons has really changed, I think.
It has.
You can see bits of it, like the basic shape of that spider is similar to the canoptic spider today.
Yeah.
But he just looks like, a different model.
He's thinner.
He's a lot thinner. He's a bit more kind of bug-like. He looks a bit more like
a spider.
Yeah,
he's more
spider
of a
or crab, and and he hasn't got legs per se. He's got those kind of
weird
ship kind of wing flaps going on. Which I like, but it's
cool,
you don't see any of that anymore.
Actually, there's not much on the bottom.
No. Nice. But yes, and the same with the Wraiths. Like the Wraith actually looks more like what an Ophidian Destroyer looks like today.
Yes, I much prefer this design of the Necron Wraiths than the ones that they've got now, which are a bit more bulkier kind of thing. I'm not a bit. They're okay, but
this is the thing. I really do. I mean, they are definitely ones that didn't pass the balance test either. You definitely need to put a penny under the new Wraith sculpts. Some of those, but I love that sculpt. I think it's cool, but it's not. This is more Wraith-like, if that makes sense. So as much as I like the new sculpt, it is chunky, and this feels more like what a Wraith should be.
Streamlined, thin.
Yeah, I fully agree with you.
Very nice.
But yeah, and these are. These are not going to come out of the blister packs anytime soon.
No, because they're just too nice. They're too good, and I don't know if they're the original blister packs. I want to say they're not because they feel like they're in good condition.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to run the risk of opening the blister pack. I think it's. I'm going to get a nice display of them, have them somewhere in my room. I think that'd be nice.
See, yeah, I think. I've never been a good collector in that respect. I like to play with my toys. So like when you bought you know me, when you bought me some oldhammer for my birthday, you got me a couple of the metal incubi.
Yeah.
Which Dark Eldar sculpts as well when they came out, and they'll be getting dipped and stripped and painted and played with. They'll be going in the list.
I might dip those ones and strip those ones of the paint, but at the same time, I really like the pinkiness of them. I'm not too sure what I want to do yet with them. I'll decide. I'm
looking at them now. They would probably take a modern contrast paint really well, like a volupus pink or something like that, or you could probably do quite a nice, quick and easy paint job on them. But just the way they're sculpted with all those recesses and stuff, I think they would take it.
Yeah, and I feel like that paint that they've got on them there now isn't doing them justice. So I want to redo the paint to make them show as best I can.
Definitely. I think if you're going to put them on display, I mean, you are kind of painting over somebody's history, but also painting in those days, you'll see probably from the close-ups that Jack's been putting on the screen, but paint was so thick. These are absolutely caked.
Now that could be just like children us putting on the biggest paintbrush on.
We were just slapping it on there with no care in the world, really. Nah. But even Too thin coats did not really exist back then.
4 thick ones, please.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, there's work to be done there. And also, if you do end up with some of these older minis that are lathered in paint, the usual methods of stripping it sometimes don't work. So you could put them, if you put them in isopropyl alcohol, they'll be there for a long time before you get the paint off, because it's so thick and it just was built to not come off. So
you said nail varnish remover?
Nail varnish remover is only for metal models. Don't use that on your plastic or your resin models.
I'm going to cut that from this video.
It will melt them. But nail varnish remover will eat through paint like that. And still won't hurt the metal model, so it should be fine.
Good.
I haven't tried BioStrip on a metal model. Our friend Max has just picked up some of that from Element Games when we were down in Nottingham, so I'll be interested. I might ask him to try it on one of mine just to see if that works.
Nice.
If you tried BioStrip on metal models, let us know in the comments, or if you know any other tricks about getting the paint off metal models, we'd be very interested to know.
Yeah. Any models that you guys have at home that you didn't even realise and you've just went and found because of this video, let us know as well. I'd love to know what you guys have hiding away back there, because everyone has something.
Everyone's got a little box of this somewhere, or most people. So yeah, definitely would share your stories with us because we'd love to hear them.
Definitely. Perfect. I think that's it then, right?
Yeah, it was a great chat. I hope you enjoyed it. A little look at some of this Oldhammer, and hopefully it sparks some more conversations and explorations of your collections. And we'll be back soon with another video. Thank you.
Thank you.